top side control. So I'm going to start from a basic side control where I'm controlling the far side arm, my knees close to her head, and I'm hugging her neck here. Okay. My first step is I need to get her elbow away from her body. Getting the elbow away from the body on a Kimura is the way of making her arm weak. You want to make her arm weak in order to attack it. So from here, I'm going to take this hand, and I can even drive, but I'm going to walk and use my arm to drive her elbow away from her body. Okay. Once I'm here, the other hand that's under her head is going to come under, and it's going to hug underneath my first arm. So now I'm kind of hugging it with both arms. The first arm's going to come out, and it's going to go to her wrist, and the second hand is going to grab my own wrist, and I'm going to push her wrist to the ground. Now, I don't want a lot of space here. I don't want a big circle right here. What I want is basically my arm parallel with her arm, my elbows on the ground, and her wrist pinned. Okay, from here, let's turn just a little bit. From here, now that I have her wrist pinned, I'm going to bring the knee that's closest to her belt into her armpit. So I'm going to slide that up, and now I'm going to sit my hips back to where that knee was. So my hips are on the ground. Okay, right now if I tried to step over her head, she could like reach with her hand and stop my leg. All right, so the way I stop that is I sit up and I pull her on her side. Now try to reach high enough to stop my leg. Her arm's not long enough anymore. Now I hug it tight, I step over her head, and I turn her wrist to finish the Kimura. I start in a basic side control, controlling the far side arm, hugging the neck. Okay, I'm going to walk my hand to get her elbow away from her body. The other arm's going to come under and hug under the first. Now the first one can come out and go to her wrist, and I grab my own wrist, and I take away that space, no space between my forearm and her forearm. Okay, I'm pinning her wrist to the ground. Once I have this, now I'm going to slide the knee closest to her hip. I'm going to slide it into her armpit. I'm going to sit my hips all the way to the ground where my knee was. And I'm going to pull her up onto her side so that she cannot block this. Now I'm going to step over and I'm going to hook my heel to the back of her head. Here, and pinch it tight. My hips are still down. Now I just turn to finish the Kimura. So Grace starts with side control, controlling the neck and controlling the far side arm. She's going to walk her arm out to get my elbow away from her body, like a spider across the mat. Good. Now she's going to hug the elbow underneath her first arm with her second arm. Then she's going to grab my wrist with her first hand and pin it to the mat and grab her own wrist. Try to bring her elbow close to my elbow, and her elbow's on the ground. There you go. Good. And from here, she's going to bring her right knee into my armpit and sit her hips where her right knee was, onto the ground. Sit them all the way to the ground. Then she's going to pull me up into her to get me on my side and step over my head. Hook her heel back to my head, and she's going to finish the Kimura from here. Good.